Good morning. Good morning, all of you.
Good morning.
And wish you all a very happy new year. You all are welcome to the classes of year 2025. Okay. Can you all turn on the videos, please? All of you. And I want to talk to the parents for a few minutes. If they are close by, ask them to uh, just listen. It's okay if they can't come in front of the camera. Yes, all of you have to turn on the videos. Yes, Venuka, Pumindu, Sadev, Deshika, Yumet, and Sumaya. Okay, right. So this year we are starting the classes with a new setup. We have divided the classes as a theory class and the paper class separately. Some of you had certain issues with the time slots, but actually the time slots are fixed. It is really difficult to change them. And some of you asked whether we are starting with the paper class without the theory class, because we have decided to start the classes from the 11th of January onwards because of the term tests held in most of the schools, the third term tests of the previous year. Therefore, because of the request of parents, we decided to start the classes from the 11th onwards. So, actually, today we are starting with the paper class according to our timetable, but it is not an issue. I will mention what is the requirement of having a paper class. Actually, now when we are learning the theory, most of you know how to you know the theoretical component, but you don't know how to express your idea, right, accurately in the question paper. So sometimes you will lose marks because of this. Therefore, we thought of having a separate paper class. Then you will be taught how to write the answers for the questions. And this is not only a paper class, we call it as the paper revision session. There we can, if we have certain calculations or if we find certain lessons somewhat difficult for the students, we can just revise those lessons in this 1 hour, right? That is the requirement. Once again, I want all of you to turn on the videos. This should be an interactive session, and please rename yourselves with your name, right? Some of you have joined with the parent name, some have joined with the name of the device. Therefore, please rename yourselves. Turn on the video. So, uh, here onwards, on Saturdays, you will have to wake up a bit early in the morning and be prepared for the class, right? Hurry. Uh, so, for the parents, what I have to say is the attendance of the students is very important, and the punctuality. You have to join the class on time, because if you join midway, then you will lose some of the parts of the lesson. Therefore, please encourage your child to join on time. වෙලාවට join වෙන්න encourage කරන්න. ඊට පස්සේ හැමදාම class එකට join වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඊළඟට video on කරන එක අනිවාර්යයි. Because I want to see the child, what he or she is doing, right? And please have a proper device. If there is a problem in the camera, you have to fix it. And it is important to have a convenient environment. That means the surroundings should be silent. Today it is a holiday. So during the weekend, most of the family members are there, so it may be noisy. So please arrange a silent place for the child to do the work in order to concentrate. අර සද්ද බද්ද අඩු තැනක් හදලා දෙන්න. එයාට නිදහසේ වැඩ ටික කරගෙන යන්න. Because we have experience sometimes when you ask a question, ප්‍රශ්නයක් ඇහුවාම සමහර වෙලාවට දැකලා තියෙනවා ගෙදර අයට සද්දේ අඩු කරන්න කියලා නිශ්ශබ්ද වෙන්න කියලා තමයි උත්තර දෙන්නේ. ඉතින් එහෙම හොඳ නැහැනේ. පවුනේ. ඒ නිසා නිශ්ශබ්ද පරිසරයක් හදලා දෙන්න. ඉතින් අලුත් දේවල් ගොඩක් තියෙනවා ඔයගොල්ලන්ට. You have been introduced with an LMS. So all the recordings will be uploaded there. So if you have missed a particular lesson, you can watch the previous recordings. Then we are going to have online tests as well in a different format, right? And you can submit your notes for the teacher to check. Sometimes I will ask you to upload your answers to be checked individually. තනි තනියම හැම ළමයා ගැනම හොඳට හොයලා බලන්න. හැම දරුවෙක් ගැනම හොඳට හොයලා බලන්න. අපි උත්තර ලියලා සමහර වෙලාවට අප්ලෝඩ් කරන්න කියලා කියනවා. නෝට්ස් චෙක් කරන්න විදිහක් තියෙනවා. ඉතින් මේ වගේ අලුත් දේවල් ගොඩක් එකතු කරලා තියෙනවා. ඉතින් ඕගොල්ලන්ට තියෙන්නේ හරි විදිහට වැඩ ටික කරන්න, වීඩියෝ එක ඔන් කරලා උත්තර දෙන්න, කතා කරන්න, ප්‍රශ්න අහන්න. ඒ ඕනෙම දෙයකට අවස්ථාව තියෙනවා. හරි. එහෙනම් since we haven't, okay, thank you parents. If you like, you can stay close by throughout the session. It doesn't matter, right? Now I will start the discussion with the students. So Pute, we haven't started the grade 9 first unit yet. So we will just revise or summarize the things that we need in common, right? Now in grade 9, you will have certain new lessons that you haven't touched earlier, right? For example, they are talking about the evolutionary process, the origin of life on Earth, then origin of the solar system, the planets, the Earth, how they have been created and how the organisms have been evolved on Earth, right? Then there is a new lesson known as green concept, which has been introduced to grade 9. So these are very necessary lessons because nowadays we have to talk about this green concept because we have limited number of resources and the demand is very high for those. Therefore, science is something that should be applied practically. We are not learning science in order to write answers for the question paper only. There are so many practical applications in our day-to-day lives. නේද? අපේ දිනදා ජීවිතේට අපි හැමතිස්සෙම මේ දේවල් අදාළ කරගන්න ඕනි ඉගෙන ගන්න දේවල්. Right? Then only this will be actually enjoyable as well as you will get the maximum output of these. Then you will not find it difficult to remember the things. දැන් මොනවා හරි දෙයක් අපි දැන් for example if you like a certain cartoon, we'll say, you don't study the names of the cartoon characters or something, නේද? Automatically they are in your mind. මොකද ඔයාලා ඒක ආසාවෙන් බලන්නේ. අන්න ඒ වගේ this should be something interesting, enjoyable, then only you will be able to remember the things properly. හරිද? ආසාවෙන් අපි ඉගෙන ගන්න දේවල් daily life එකට apply වෙන්නේ කොහොමද? ප්‍රශ්න අහලා ඔගොල්ලෝ දන්න අලුත් දේවල් අනිත් අයත් එක්ක share කරගෙන ඒ විදිහට අපි මේ ගමන යමු. එතකොට then you are in the case of parents, the ultimate objective is to be prepared for the exam. So automatically you will be prepared for the exams then. හරිද? ඔයගොල්ලෝ ආසාවෙන් ඉගෙන ගත්තාම දන්නේම නැතුව ඔයාලා exam එකටත් ලෑස්ති වෙලා. ඊළඟට what I have told you throughout is that you have to do the work daily. Now, if we do something today in the class, the lesson that we have discussed today, you have to revise it today itself. So in the case of the paper revision class, it is for 1 hour. Then the theory class is for 2 hours. So the things that we have discussed during these 2 hours or in the 1 hour session, you can just revise them within 15 minutes in the day. You can't say that you can't find 15 minutes. Neither. You have time. Therefore, if you have the requirement, you can find time easily. ඔයාලන්ට උනන්දුව තියෙනවා නම් විනාඩි 15ක් හොයාගන්න බැරි වෙන්නේ නැහනේ. එතකොට අද දවසේම මේ දේවල් මතක් කරගන්න. Now in the theory class we are going to share videos related to the things that we are discussing, some of the practicals we will watch through videos. So you have to revise the things on the day itself, right? Remember it very well, because in grade 9 there are so many lessons, so many new things that you have to learn and remember. Therefore, you have to do continuous revision, right? ඉතින් ඔගොල්ලෝ මහන්සි වෙලා මහන්සි කියන්නේ ලොකු එෆර්ට් එකක් ගන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. දැන් ඔගොල්ලෝ වැඩ කළේ නැත්තම් එදිනෙදා මොකද වෙන්නේ? When the term test is announced, you are in a very stressful mentality නේද? අම්මෝ term test එක තියෙනවා දැන් පාඩම් කරන්න ඕනි කියලා ගොඩක් stress වෙනවා නේද? එහෙම වෙන්න ඕනේ නැහැ if you are doing the work daily. term test එක හෙට තිබ්බත් කියන්නේ නැතුව තිබ්බත් you are ready නේද? Therefore, be prepared like that. හරි. ඔගලන්ට මොනවා හරි අහන්න තියනවාද? Even if the parents have something to ask, you can just ask. ඕනෙම දෙයක් අහන්න, you can just raise your hand. Raise hand option is there. And I can see you all in a separate screen. I can see still Deshika, Jenumi, Sadev and Sumaya have turned off their videos. And Sevindu, I can't see you, though you have turned on the video. I think මට ඔයාලා හැමෝම පේනවා. If you just raise your hand, I will give you the chance to talk. මොනවා හරි අහන්න තියෙනවා නම් අහන්න පුතේ about the procedure, අපි කොහොමද මේ classes කරගෙන යන්නේ? ඒ ගැන මොනවා හරි parents ලාට හරි අහන්න දෙයක් තියෙනවා නම් I will give the chance now before we start the discussion related to the subject.
Hello, Miss මම සුමයාගේ අම්මා කතා කරන්නේ.
ඔව්.
දැන් එයාලා යන්නේ ඉන්ටර්නැෂනල්. දැන් grade 9 වෙන්නේ ජූන් වල. එතකොට දැන්ම ඉඳන් මම මේක මෙයා ටච් කරගෙන ගියා කියලා එයාට ප්‍රශ්නයක් වෙන්නේ නේද?
නෑ, ඒක හොඳයි. දැන් සමහර පේරන්ට්ස්ලා බලන්න දැන් අපි යන්නේ ජනවරි to ඩිසෙම්බර් ෂෙඩියුල් එකට. එතකොට දැන් සමහර අය සෙප්ටෙම්බර් පටන් ගත්තට පස්සේ අපේ ජනවරි ක්ලාස් එකට ජොයින් වුණොත් එයාට ගැටලුවක් තියෙනවා පොඩ්ඩක්. හැබැයි ඔයාලා කලින් ජොයින් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒ නිසා ඒක හොඳයි. එයාට කලින් ප්‍රිපෙයාර් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. That's a good idea.
අනිත් එක මිස් ඉංග්‍රීසි වලින් යනවනේ දැන් සිංහල තේරෙන්නේ නැති පොඩි ප්‍රශ්නයකුත් තියෙනවා.
It's okay, it's okay. Today only I used certain Sinhala words. So the actually this is bilingual, right? So though we say English medium bilingual, so we are asked to use the mother tongue of the child as well. But it does not matter when I am explaining the subject matter, I am using English only.
Okay, Miss. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
And on the other hand, for the Sinhala students, if you have any problem, you can ask the questions either in English or Sinhala. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I don't know Tamil or any other language. Therefore, those people can ask in English. And if the other students need something explained further, you can ask in Sinhala even. It's okay.
Okay.
Anything else? Since there are certain newcomers, actually, for the past year, I haven't given any introduction about myself because you all had joined after knowing me. Since today there are certain new students, I will give a brief introduction about myself also. So I have completed my first degree at University of Kelaniya in biological science, and I completed it and after that I completed the postgraduate diploma in education, and I have successfully completed the Master of Education as well to be fully qualified as a teacher in both educational and professional background. Then I joined Royal College Colombo in year 2010, and I served there until March 2024, right? Nearly 14 years I have served there, and I have taken part in O-level paper marking as well. So actually a teacher gets completed because of this experience, right? By working with the students and using the technology. And also, I believe that a teacher becomes completed once they take part in paper marking as well. It is something like now referring a single book and referring the books in a library, like there is such comparison. හරිද? අර ලයිබ්‍රරි එකකට ගිහිල්ලා දැනුම එකතු කරගත්තා වගේ තමයි පේපර් මාකින් වලදී ඒ හම්බෙන අත්දැකීම කොහොමද දැන් විෂය දැනුම දෙන්න පුළුවන් වුණාට අපි හරියට ගයිඩ් කරන්න ඕනේ කොහොමද පේපර් එකේ questions වලට answer කරන්නේ, because your answers are checked according to a marking scheme, right? Therefore, you have to write answers accordingly. You should know how to score, right? So, if you have practiced in order to write answers according to a marking scheme, then only you can go for a good pass. We have seen students, though they have knowledge, they don't know how to express their ideas in the question paper. That is a main problem, right? සමහර ළමයින්ට දැනුම තියෙනවා. හැබැයි කොහොමද ඒක මාක්ස් ලැබෙන විදිහට එක්ස්ප්‍රස් කරන්න කියන එක එයාලට පැහැදිලි නෑ. ඉතින් ඒක ගයිඩ් කරන්න අර පේපර් මාකින් එක්ස්පීරියන්ස් එක ඊළඟට අවුරුදු ගාණක් මේන් ස්කූල් එකක වැඩ කරලා ගත්ත ඒ එක්ස්පීරියන්ස් එක ගොඩක් උදව් වෙනවා. ඉතින් මේ පේපර් ක්ලාස් එකක් පටන් ගන්න එකේ අරමුණත් ඒකයි. කොහොමද උත්තර ලියන්නේ, තනියම ආන්සර් එකක් ලියන්නේ කොහොමද කියන එක කියලා දෙන්න. Hari, that is all about myself. Then shall we start a brief discussion, since it is the first day today. Hari, so I will discuss certain facts that you have to know within the year, and also I told you this is not something that will end at the end of a certain year. So the knowledge in science that you have gained in primary classes and from grade 6 to 8, all these knowledge will be continued, right? You are laying the foundation. You have laid the foundation already in your primary grades, and now we are building we are just constructing the building gradually, right? That knowledge will be important in your O-levels, in your day-to-day lives specifically, and also if you proceed your higher studies in science subjects, this knowledge is very important. Therefore, this knowledge is continued in science, right? Hari. So, we will discuss about certain things. Now, if we think of living organisms, right? There are both unicellular and multicellular organisms, right? So can you just tell me who are unicellular organisms? Yes, anyone can tell?
Organisms with one cell.
Yes, who are unicellular organisms? Now there are both unicellular and multicellular organisms, right? So who are unicellular organisms? Yes. And what is the criterion that we have used in this classification? Organisms are of two types, unicellular and multicellular. So you can make your own note today. First of all, you have to put the date. Sometimes on some of the days you will get a question paper or a tute, right? Then I will put them in the LMS or the WhatsApp group. Then you can take a printout if I have mentioned. Today you can write on a separate book, put the date first, right? Hari. So, kata karanna ඕනේ. What do you mean by unicellular and multicellular organisms? What is the criterion of classification?
Organisms that only have one cell.
Yes, Pumidu. The organisms which consist of only a single cell. That their whole body is a single cell. Then we call them as unicellular organisms, right? Then who are multicellular organisms? Yes, who are multicellular organisms? Yes.
Having
Yes,
more than one cell.
Organisms which consist of more than one cell, right? Now, if we consider our bodies, there are several millions of cells in our bodies, right? So we are multicellular organisms. So can you give me certain examples for unicellular organisms? Yes, someone else? Yes, you all are free to talk with me. Yes, Deshika, can you give me certain examples for unicellular organisms?
Some microorganisms.
Yes, microorganisms. Some of the microorganisms, not all. There are certain microorganisms which are having more than one cell, right? Hari. So, can you name certain unicellular organisms? Yes,
Amoeba.
bacteria. Bacteria are having only a single cell, right? Okay. Anything else? As you have heard about in grade 6, you have learned about certain unicellular organisms. Yes?
Paramecium.
You know about amoeba, paramecium, the one which has the shape of a sole of a shoe. That is paramecium, neither. Can you remember? The one which has the shape of a sole of a shoe. That is paramecium. Amoeba is irregular in shape. It does not have a proper shape. Then you know about chlamydomonas, which is an algal variety. Chlamydomonas. I have underlined these names since they are scientific names. Bacteria is a group of microorganisms. Therefore, we don't need to underline that. Then for multicellular organisms, you can name any organism you like. The plants, animals. Once we say animals, there are vertebrates and invertebrates. No? Right? Quickly just note down the things since we are doing a summary today. The things that you have learned in grade up to grade 8 and the things that we are going to learn, going to continue further. Right. Have you finished? Shall I clear the things? Right, Nether. Hari. Then, when we say living organisms in grade 6, you have learned the living organisms, there are of different types. Living organisms. You can just put that also. They are divided into 3 main groups. Plants, animals, and microorganisms. Microorganisms, and we are classifying these based on different criteria. Now, you know all the plants are autotrophic. They are autotrophs since they can synthesize their own food. The animals are considered to be heterotrophic, right? Heterotrophic because they can't synthesize their own food. They can't synthesize their own food, right? So there are both autotrophs and heterotrophs, right? Then in the case of microorganisms, some of them are autotrophic, some of them are heterotrophic. So when we say autotrophs, they are of two groups, photoautotrophs and chemoautotrophs. You will be able to learn this in grade 10. Harry. Then when we consider plants, we can divide the plants into two categories, flowering plants and non-flowering plants. So you have learned about these in grade 7 first unit. Can you remember flowering and non-flowering plants? Plants can be divided into two categories. These classifications are based on different criterion. No? Flowering plants and non-flowering plants. Then we can divide these further, flowering plants with seeds and without seeds. Non-flowering plants, right? So when we are talking about plants, first we classify them as seedless plants and seed plants, flowering, non-flowering. There are different criteria. Then in the case of animals, if we consider animals, I will take it like this. There are invertebrates as well as vertebrates, right? That classification is based on what? Presence or absence of a vertebral column. Presence or absence of a vertebral column.
Teacher
Yes, Deshika?
can also classify them according to what they eat, right?
Yes, based on their feeding mechanism, based on the type of food that they consume, we can classify them. Correct. Based on their feeding mechanism, based on the type of food that they consume. What else? What are the different criteria that we can use? Yes, Zumaya? Did you say something? So those who have kept the videos off, from next week onwards, you all should be prepared, right? Early in the morning to turn on the video. Good, Sadev. Hari. Okay. Right. Then, if we talk about microorganisms, do you think that all microorganisms are harmful? Now, when we say microorganisms, we dark picture comes into our mind. Neither. Microorganisms cause diseases. These days also they say that there is a particular viral disease that is being spread. So we think in a different angle about microorganisms. But is that so? Are they all harmful?
No.
Yes. No. Isn't it, Metara? There are so many uses of microorganisms, right? What are the uses of microorganisms? You can just note them down because we are going to learn about microorganisms in our first lesson. What are the different applications of microorganisms in the modern world? Yes.
Make vaccines.
Are making vaccines. There are so many medicinal uses. To make antibiotics, we are using microbial extracts, right? What else? Yes? Yes, Atish. Is that Atish? No? Yes.
In bakery industry.
In bakery industry, when baking the items, we need the fermentation in order to have a spongy dough, right? There are the fungals, yeast becomes important, Saccharomyces, yes. Okay, what else? You met. Yes, what are the uses of microorganisms? You can note them down, list them out. Uses of microorganisms. Yes. Genumi.
Yes, teacher.
Yes, what are the uses of microorganisms?
Like making compost.
Are making compost. Decomposition of the waste materials is another important application of microorganisms. Otherwise, we will have to live among heaps of garbage. No? Decomposition is something very important. So we can make use of compost. And due to this microbial activity, even we can produce biogas and we can make use of biogas as a fuel type. Yes, Gavish? Gavisha. Yes, Gavisha. Manada Pute, applications of microorganisms, uses. Yes, is that all? You mentioned about medicinal industry producing antibiotics, vaccines. Then you mentioned about bakery industry. Then making compost, biogas. That means decomposition of garbage. What else?
Curd.
Yes, Netumi?
Making curd.
Making curd, yogurt. That means in the preparation of dairy products, milk-based products, right? Then
Vinegar.
there are microorganisms become important. Yes, Deshika?
Making Miss vinegar.
And Sumaya, yes, coir industry. In coir industry, in order to extract fiber out of these plant-based materials, in coir industry, kohu karmantedi, the microbial activity becomes important. Then
Vinegar.
production of vinegar, and in further we can say production of alcohol, alcoholic beverages, and alcohol is something very important in the laboratory. It acts as a solvent, right? Then what else?
To produce mushrooms.
Yes, mushrooms. Mushrooms are a reproductive structure of fungi. Yes, Nimsara. Right? So certain mushrooms are edible. So they are very good sources of proteins. Mushrooms. Yes, that is a good option for the vegetarians as a protein supplement. Yes, what else? Not all mushrooms are edible. There are edible mushrooms. Then, yes, you mentioned about dairy industry. Then what about tanning of leather? Now we are consuming, actually that is not that recommended. People like to consume leather products, leather shoes, leather belts, leather bags. So these are obtained from the skin of certain animals. So tanning of leather is also due to microbial activity. The flesh out of the skin is decomposed and removed because of the microbial activity. And there are certain microorganisms inside our body, on our skin. There are so many microorganisms, and some of the microbes inside our body, especially in the digestive tract, they become important for a healthy digestive system. You may have heard about probiotics, right? So these are favorable bacteria. Okay, Hari. We'll finish the discussion about organisms, the summary. Then shall we move on to the SI units? The units used according to international standards. That's something very important for you to learn. Yes, SI units. Hari. So what are the SI units that you know? What is the SI unit used to measure the distance? Yes. What is it?
Kilometers.
No. That is not kilometer. That is the meter. We use the symbol simple M. Right. Then what is the unit used to measure the mass of a substance? Yes. There
Gram.
are so many units. But what is the SI unit according to international standards?
Gram.
Grams.
No, Puti. That is kilogram. Right? Okay. So it is important to learn. Then what about the volume? Yes. Volume. What is the SI unit? It's okay. If you go wrong, we'll just get it corrected. Not
Liters.
the liter, Pute.
Cubic centimeter.
Milliliters.
Milliliters. No.
Cubic
Genumeter is not
meters.
cubic meter. Yes, cubic meter. We call this as cubic meter. That is used to measure the volume. Then we mention about density. Density. So do you know what density is? What is the equation used to express density? Yes. Density is equal to mass divided by the volume. There is a lesson, separate lesson in grade 9, mass divided by volume. So the mass is taken in kilograms, volume is taken in cubic meters. So kilograms divided by cubic meter means we can express the unit as kilograms per cubic meter. Kilograms per cubic meter as the SI unit. Kilograms per cubic meter. Right? Kilograms per cubic meter. Hari. Then what else? What about force? What is the unit used to express force? Yes, force. We call it as either a push or a pull. Yes. What's the unit? Yes,
Newton.
Ranushi. That is Newton, capital N, Newton. Then what about energy? Now, we know about chemical energy. Once we eat, we obtain chemical energy. In chemical cells, they have chemical energy. Then we are making use of electrical energy. We experience light and heat energy. We make use of them. Yes. So what is the unit used to measure energy?
Joules.
That is joule, capital J. Hari. What else? Distance, mass, volume, density. In grade 10, you will learn about different quantities, like you know about scalar and vector quantities, neither? You know about them. So in grade 10, you will learn about velocity, acceleration, deceleration, about these as well. Hari. Then now we know about matter, right? So everything around us can be divided into two main categories. Manada? Everything around us can be divided into two. What are they?
Energy.
Matter and energy. Very good. Matter and energy. Then now we have mentioned about energy. What is the basic unit of matter? Basic unit means the building block of matter is considered to be? Yes. In grade 8 you have heard.
Particles.
Right, particles. Can you further mention the particles are made out of? The particles means there are atoms. There are atoms and molecules. Even the molecules are made out of atoms. Now you know about water. Water is H2O, no? Right? So water molecule is made out of 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. Right? Therefore, the building unit of matter is considered to be the atom. Right? So later on in grade 10, you will learn that we will have to measure the amount of substance. Now, you are supposed to take 10 grams of sodium hydroxide. Then if you are asked to calculate the amount of substance in it, we use the unit mole for that. In Sinhala, we call it as maulaya. Right? Mole is the unit which is used to measure the amount of substance. On a new thing, you can add that also. Amount of substance. Amount of substance is measured in moles. MOL, simple MOL is the unit used for mole. MOL. Finished? Shall I clear the things? Then if we revise about vectors and vector quantities and scalar quantities, if we revise about vector quantities and scalar quantities, what are vectors and what are scalar quantities? Yes. What are scalar quantities? Scalar quantities කියන්නේ මොනවද? Yes. If you can remember the things that you have learned in grade 7. Yes. Scalar quantities. මොනවද? Yes. The quantities which are having a magnitude only. Right? Magnitude only. Now, once we say the mass, it is a scalar quantity. They have a magnitude only. So, I will say they are having a magnitude only. Now, if you are asked what is your body mass, you will say 40 kilograms. It does not have any direction. It has a magnitude only. Right? If you consider the volume of your water bottle, you will say it in liters or milliliters. Right? It has a magnitude only. Right? Such quantities are known as scalar quantities. So, we can say the mass, volume, what else? Even the distance. If you ask the distance from Colombo to Kandy, you will say that it is 100 kilometers. Right? Distance. It has a magnitude only. Then what else? If you asked what's the time now, now you may be looking at the clock. Right? It has a magnitude only. If we say the pressure, density, they have values only. Even the speed, you can see the speed of the speedometer of a vehicle. What is the speed that the vehicle is traveling? That is at maybe 80 kilometers per hour, right? It has a magnitude only. But there are vector quantities as well. Vector quantities. These vector quantities are having both a magnitude and a direction. So you will learn about these in detail in grade 10 basically. Yes, Deshika, what's your question?
Like weight is the thing we measure, right?
We measure the mass, right? 40 kilograms is the mass. But if we are going to convert it into weight, weight is the attractive force which is created on an object by the gravity, right? The attractive force. So weight is a force. We call it as the gravitational force. So weight becomes a vector quantity. So vector quantities are having both a magnitude and a direction. Both a magnitude and a direction. So as you told, weight is a vector quantity. Now, if I say that my body mass is 50 kilograms, my weight becomes 500 Newton, right? That is the force by which the earth attracts me towards itself, right? Towards the gravity, right? So weight, we'll learn about this in detail. I'm just giving you a surface knowledge today since it is our first day. Weight, then force, then you will learn about displacement. You have already learned about displacement in grade 7. Neither, matakaine? Displacement. Then in grade 10 you will learn about velocity, acceleration. You will learn about these. Acceleration, deceleration. These are considered to be vector quantities, right? They have both a magnitude and a direction. Then finished. Then you mentioned about the atom, no? So the subatomic particles comes into my mind. So the matter is made out of atoms. Atom consists of certain subatomic particles. Ires කරන්නද? ඉවරයිද හැමෝම? Right. So I told you the matter is made out of atoms. Matter is made out of atoms. So inside the atom there are subatomic particles. Subatomic particles. What are the subatomic particles? The atom is made out of, atom consists of, we can't say atom is made out of them, atom consists of these. What are they? Yes. Electrons. Have you heard? Protons and neutrons. Right? We call these as subatomic particles. Subatomic particles. So we will be learning about these also. දැන් අද පුතේ මේ දෙන්නේ ඕගලන්ට ඉස්සරහට කරගෙන යන්න ඕනේ දේවල් වලට basic introduction එකක් විතරයි. ඊට පස්සේ අපි once we have started the lessons, we can discuss questions based on them. Right. Then there are 3 states of matter. What are the 3 states of matter? Yes. States of matter. Yes. Since grade 6 you know these. Yes, there are 3 states of matter: solids, liquids and gases. There are 3 states of matter: solids, liquids and gases. හරි පුතේ. එහෙමනම් අද දැන් මේ දුන්නේ පොඩි introduction එකක් ඔයාලගේ ඉස්සරහ lessons වලට. Now next week we are starting the lesson on Tuesday. Though it is a holiday, this time we are going to have the class, because since we start the class on the 2nd week, right? Therefore we are having the classes on the 14th. There we are going to start the lesson. I have already shared the tut with you. So take a print out of it and keep with you. So once we start the lessons during the paper class, we will be discussing certain questions, or we will do further revising the things. If you find any difficult part in the theory lesson, we can discuss those in the paper class, right? That is the way that we are going to conduct the classes. Hari. Emana, though it is 1 hour, now didn't you learn something useful today within this 1 hour? So out of 1 hour today, we had a general discussion for more than 30 minutes. So within the rest of the 30 minutes, didn't you get something new? Yes, just talk, unmute and tell. Didn't you learn something new? Yes, Deshika. Yes, you have learned something new. So likewise, every day we will learn something new, and let's be prepared to write answers for the questions. Right. Okay then. See you all on Tuesday. Right. Then stay safe and have a nice day. Bye.